How many of you here have ever had a fight with your pillow at 2 a.m.? The pillow says, sleep, but your mind says, let's replay that embarrassing thing you did in 24 too. It's amazing, isn't it? We spend money on mattresses, pillows, bed sheets. Some of us even have a special sleeping playlist. Yet the one thing we actually need for peaceful sleep is not in the bedroom. It's in the mind. Today, I want to share with you something that all of us desperately want, but very few of us truly get: peaceful sleep. Not just the kind where the body lies down, but the kind where the mind also lies down. Because let's be honest, our bodies go to bed, but our thoughts keep running marathons. The secret to sleeping peacefully is not found in pills or in counting sheep. It's found in how we live, how we think, and how we let go. Have you ever noticed, my friends, that when we lie down on the bed at night, we are not just lying down with our bodies, we are lying down with all the luggage of the day. The bed is small, but somehow we carry a whole suitcase of arguments, unfinished tasks, and worries right into it. Imagine this: the whole day you had meetings, deadlines, responsibilities, maybe even an argument with someone close to you. You smile, you nod, you say good night to the world, but when the lights are off, suddenly the mind says, wait, I'm not done yet. And there it goes, replaying every conversation, rethinking every mistake, reliving every stressful moment. Have you experienced this? It's like your brain becomes a late night DJ, playing the worst playlist possible. Why did I say that? What will I do tomorrow? Why didn't they reply to my message? You wanted sleep, but your mind wanted Netflix of worries. And the more you fight it, the stronger it plays. So here's the secret. Before you clear your bed, clear your day. Don't carry today's weight into tomorrow's sleep. Resolve what can be resolved. If you've had a fight with someone, either call them or decide to forgive them in your heart. If a task is incomplete, write it down, keep it on paper, not in your head, because the brain is a poor storage device for open loops. It will keep reminding you again and again, especially when you're trying to rest. Let me give you an example. Suppose you had a friend who owed you money. Every time you see him, you remember, he still hasn't returned it. It bothers you even when you don't talk about it. In the same way, unfinished thoughts are like unpaid debts. They will haunt you until you either settle them or at least acknowledge them. That's why journaling or making a to-do list before bed is so powerful. It tells the mind, don't worry, I've noted it. We'll handle it tomorrow. And the mind finally rests. Think about it: when you go to the airport, you don't carry heavy bags with you into the plane. You check them in, right? You hand them over, get your boarding pass, and then walk freely to your seat. But with sleep, we try to carry all the baggage of the day onto the soft pillow and then wonder why our neck hurts, why our dreams are restless, why we wake up more tired than before. Clearing your day is like checking in your luggage before the flight of sleep. Say sorry if you need to, forgive if you have to, plan tomorrow if you must, but don't keep running it on loop inside your mind, because peaceful sleep doesn't come when the body is tired. It comes when the mind is light. So, before you close your eyes, ask yourself, am I carrying any unfinished luggage today? And if the answer is yes, put it down. The bed is for you, not your baggage. One of the simplest yet most powerful practices for peaceful sleep is gratitude. Think about it. When you lie down at night, what is usually the last thought before you drift off? For most people, it is a replay of worries, unfinished work, unpaid bills, that comment someone made that hurt us, or the fear of what tomorrow might bring. We let the most restless, negative thoughts tuck us into bed. No wonder sleep refuses to hug us peacefully. But imagine instead, what if the last thought on your mind was not a worry, but a blessing? What if instead of, what if tomorrow goes wrong, you said to yourself, look at what went right today? Gratitude is not just a feel good emotion, it's a medicine for the mind. When the heart is full of appreciation, the brain calms down. Gratitude turns restlessness into rest. There's a story of a man who could never sleep peacefully. Every night he tossed and turned, complaining about his life. One evening, his teacher asked him to do something unusual. Tonight, before you sleep, I want you to list 3 things you are thankful for, no matter how small. Just 3. The man laughed and said, what difference will that make? But out of respect, he tried. That night he thought, well, I had food to eat. I had a roof over my head, and my child smiled at me today. He repeated these to himself, and something magical happened. His heart softened, his breath slowed, and he slept peacefully. The next day he told his teacher, this is strange. I didn't take a pill. I didn't change my mattress. I just changed my thoughts, and I slept better. Gratitude is like switching the channel of your mind. If your brain is tuned to the problems channel, you will get a restless night show. But if you tune it to the blessings channel, you'll enjoy the sweet music of peace. And here's the best part, it costs nothing. You don't need a subscription, you don't need an app. Just a few sincere moments before closing your eyes. Try this experiment tonight. Lie down, close your eyes, and instead of scrolling on your phone, scroll through your blessings. Remember a kind word someone said to you. Recall a meal you enjoyed. Think of a challenge you survived. Even the smallest thing counts. The smile of a stranger, the comfort of your bed, even the fact that you are alive, breathing, and capable of feeling grateful. When you do this, you'll notice something. Your mind stops chasing the future and rests in the present. And peace lives in the present. See, gratitude doesn't mean your life is perfect. It means you've chosen to focus on what's good, even while acknowledging what's not. If we wait for a perfect life to feel thankful, we will never feel thankful. But if we train ourselves to see even the small sparks of goodness, suddenly the darkness of worry begins to fade. Remember, the last thought of the day often becomes the first mood of the morning. If you sleep with complaints, you wake up with heaviness. But if you sleep with gratitude, you wake up with energy. That is the power of saying thank you before you say good night. So, before you put your head on the pillow tonight, put your heart in the space of gratitude. And you'll see the pillow feels softer, the night feels calmer, and sleep arrives not as a struggle, but as a gentle gift. Have you noticed how the last thing we touch at night is not our pillow, it's our phone? The poor pillow has been waiting for us the whole day, soft, fluffy, loyal, but no, the phone wins our love. We scroll, we swipe, we click, until our eyes say, good night, but our mind is still shouting, own more video. And then we complain, I can't sleep. No, let me ask you, how many of you have gone to check the time at night and ended up spending 45 minutes watching reels? You wanted to see the clock, but suddenly you're watching a cat playing the piano, then a motivational clip, then a cooking recipe you'll never try, and before you know it, it's 2 a.m. The clock you wanted to check is still the same, but your sleep is gone. The problem is not just the blue light, my friends. Yes, scientists will tell you that blue light keeps the brain alert, but the real enemy is not the light, it's the load. We keep filling our mind with other people's problems and other people's lives and other people's drama right before bed. Tell me honestly, why should my sleep be ruined because some stranger on social media is angry at their neighbor, or because someone posted a vacation photo from the Maldives while I'm lying in my blanket? There's a beautiful wisdom here. The mind digests information the way the body digests food. If you eat heavy junk food at midnight, your stomach will suffer. In the same way, if you feed your brain heavy, unnecessary junk information at midnight, your sleep will suffer. You can't expect peace when you're filling yourself with chaos. Let me share a story. A young man once went to his teacher and said, "I feel so restless at night. My head is spinning with thoughts. I can't sleep." The teacher asked, "What is the last thing you do before sleeping?" The boy said, "I watch videos. Sometimes comedy, sometimes news, sometimes just random things." The teacher smiled and said, "It's like this. If you throw a stone into a pond, the water will ripple for a few minutes. But if you keep throwing stones again and again, will the water ever become still?" That's what you are doing to your mind. Every reel, every video, every news story is another stone. How will your mind become calm enough to rest? Peaceful sleep requires a calm mind, not an entertained mind. And there's a difference. Entertainment excites us, peace relaxes us. When you watch a thriller or scroll through arguments online, you are telling your brain, be alert, be ready, something is happening. But when you put away your screen, dim the lights, and give your mind space, you are telling your brain, it's safe, it's calm, you can switch off. No, some people say, "But Swamiji, I need my phone to sleep." I listen to music or watch something soothing. That's fine if it genuinely relaxes you, but ask yourself, does it end in sleep or does it end in scrolling endlessly? Because one song can put you to sleep, but one scroll can keep you awake until sunrise. The truth is, the phone is not the villain. It's our attachment to it that steals our peace. The same device that wakes us up with an alarm also keeps us awake with distraction. The key is not to throw away the phone, but to discipline our relationship with it. Just like we teach children, brush your teeth before bed, we need to teach ourselves, put your phone to bed before you go to bed. Imagine if, for the last 30 minutes of your day, instead of flooding your brain with screens, you flood it with silence, gratitude, prayer, or even just soft breathing. That small detox will do what no sleeping pill can do, give you natural, peaceful rest. So tonight, when you lie down, ask yourself, do I want to sleep with peace? Or do I want to sleep with pieces of other people's lives? If your answer is peace, then give your mind the gift of a little screen detox. Sleep is not a fight we win by force. It is a gift we receive when we create the right space. One of the biggest thieves of our peaceful sleep is not coffee, not noise, not even the brightness of our room. It is grudges. When the body is lying on the mattress, but the heart is lying on anger, sleep will not come. You may close your eyes, but the mind will keep replaying that fight, that insult, that betrayal. And the more you think, the more the wound feels fresh. Tell me honestly, how many of you have gone to bed after an argument with a loved one? You turned your back to them, they turned their back to you, both pretending to sleep, but in reality, both awake, both restless. The bed is large enough for two bodies, but not large enough for two egos. The body is tired, but the mind is busy constructing arguments for tomorrow. Next time, I will say this. Next time, I will show them. And the whole night, instead of resting, you are preparing for a war that may never happen. Holding on to grudges is like sleeping with a mosquito in your room. The mosquito may be tiny, but it will keep buzzing in your ear all night. Resentment is like that. It is small compared to your whole life. But if you don't let it go, it will rob you of peace, joy, and sleep. There's a story of two monks who were traveling. They came across a woman who couldn't cross a river. One monk immediately carried her on his back and dropped her safely on the other side. Then both monks continued their journey. Hours later, the second monk angrily said, "Why did you carry that woman? We are monks. We are not supposed to touch women." The first monk smiled and said, "Brother, I left her at the river hours ago. Why are you still carrying her in your mind?" This is exactly what we do with people who hurt us. The event is over. The words were spoken long ago, but in our minds, we carry them for days, months, even years. And every night, they come to disturb our sleep. Forgiveness doesn't mean the other person was right. It doesn't mean what they did was justified. It simply means you have chosen to release yourself from the prison of that memory. You forgive not because they deserve peace, but because you deserve peace. When you forgive, you are not doing a favor to the other person. You are doing a favor to your own heart. Imagine trying to fall asleep while holding a heavy rock on your chest. How long could you rest like that? Anger, bitterness, grudges, they are those heavy rocks. The longer you hold them, the more breathless and restless you feel. But the moment you drop them, the chest is light, the breath is calm, and sleep becomes natural. Some people say, "But it's not easy to forgive." True, it is not easy. But neither is losing sleep night after night. Which burden would you rather carry? The burden of letting go once, or the burden of holding on forever? Forgiveness is like telling yourself, "Yes, the hurt happened, but I will not let it control my nights anymore. I choose my peace over my pain." And the moment that decision is made, sleep comes like a child, innocent, soft, unburdened. So, before you close your eyes tonight, ask yourself, am I going to bed with love, or am I going to bed with grudges? If the answer is grudges, then remember forgiveness is the pillow for the soul. Only when the heart rests on forgiveness can the mind rest in sleep. Have you noticed, my friends, that the body and the mind are like two restless children always running in different directions? The body wants to rest, but the mind wants to wander. The body lies on the bed, but the mind is already at tomorrow's meeting. The body is under the blanket, but the mind is replaying yesterday's argument. And when body and mind are disconnected like this, sleep becomes impossible. But there is one thing, just one simple tool, that can bring the body and mind back together like a bridge uniting two sides. That tool is the breath. Breath is so ordinary that we forget its power. It's happening every second, quietly, without demand, without noise. Yet it is the most faithful companion of our life. The first thing we do when we are born is inhale. The last thing we do before leaving this world is exhale. Between those two moments, every rise and fall of breath is life itself. And still we ignore it. We spend thousands of rupees on mattresses, on sleep apps, on supplements, but the secret key to peaceful sleep is already with us, our own breath. When the mind is overactive, notice what happens to your breath. It becomes shallow, fast, irregular. But when you consciously slow down your breathing, the mind begins to calm down automatically. Science tells us that slow, deep breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's natural rest and digest mode. Spiritually, It does something even deeper. It reminds us that life is not about holding on tightly, but about flowing freely. Inhale and exhale, receiving and releasing. Let me share a simple practice. It is called the 4-7-8 method. You inhale gently for 4 counts, hold for 7, and exhale slowly for 8. When you do this even 3 or 4 times, the brain receives a signal. It's safe now, you can switch off. It's like telling a restless child, "Shh, it's bedtime now," and watching them slowly settle down. Imagine your breath as a mother rocking a crying baby in her arms. The baby is your mind. It's crying, restless, loud. But the mother doesn't shout back. She simply rocks the baby gently, patiently, until it falls asleep. That is what your breath can do to your mind. In fact, every spiritual tradition of the world has honored the breath. In yoga, it is called prana, the life force. In Christianity, the word spirit itself comes from the Latin word spiritus, which means breath. In Chinese philosophy, it is qi, the vital energy. Breath is not just air, it is life moving through us. And when life is honored, peace is restored. Have you seen how a baby sleeps? They have no stress, no deadlines, no grudges. Their little belly rises and falls gently with each breath, and they drift into the deepest, most natural sleep. We were all born with that ability, but as we grow, we complicate life with thoughts, worries, attachments. The good news is we can return to that childlike peace anytime, simply by returning to the breath. Tonight, when you lie down, instead of chasing sleep, chase your breath. Follow its rhythm. Inhale slowly, exhale slowly. Don't force it. Don't control it aggressively, just observe it like watching waves at the shore. As the breath calms, the waves of thought calm, and suddenly sleep comes, not as a fight, but as a gift. Remember this: the mind may run towards yesterday or tomorrow, but the breath is always here, now, in this moment. And peace is only found in the now. So, if you want to build a bridge from stress to rest, from restlessness to sleep, walk across the bridge of your own breath. One of the biggest reasons people can't sleep peacefully today is not because of the bed, not because of the room, not even because of the neighbor's dog barking outside. It is because they have turned their bed into a second office. Physically, they are lying down under a blanket, but mentally, they are still sitting at their desk. The bed has become a conference room, the pillow has become a file, and the blanket is their office cabin. And then we ask, why am I not able to rest? Tell me honestly, how many of you have checked emails in bed just before closing your eyes? Or worse, you woke up at 2 a.m., turned over, and thought, let me quickly check if there's any new message. Quick check. There's nothing quick about it. You open one email, then another, then you remember a task, then you start drafting a reply in your head, and by the time you put the phone down, your sleep has already packed its bags and left. I once heard someone joke, I don't work from home, I live at work. That's what happens when we blur the line between work and rest. Our ancestors had a clear rhythm. Work in the fields during the day, return home in the evening, light a lamp, have a meal, sit with family, and sleep when it's dark. Today, work follows us everywhere, on our phones, in our laptops, in our notifications. We are always reachable, always available. But the truth is, the more available you are to the office, the less available you become to your own peace. Imagine this. If you invite a guest into your home, they sit in the living room. You don't take them inside your bedroom, right? The bedroom is your most private, personal space. Yet, when we allow our work to enter our bedroom, we have invited a guest that never leaves. Work becomes like an uninvited roommate who sleeps between you and your peace. Here's a story. A man once went to a wise teacher and said, "I work so hard, but when I go to bed, I can't switch off. My mind is always working, calculating, planning." The teacher asked him, "Where do you keep your shoes when you return home from work?" The man said, "Outside the door." The teacher smiled and said, "Do the same with your work. Leave it outside the door. Don't let it walk into your bedroom." Such a simple metaphor, but so powerful. Just like you don't sleep with shoes on your bed, you don't need to sleep with your office on your bed either. See, my friends, the body and mind work best when they know where they are. The dining table is for eating, the desk is for working, and the bed is for resting. When we confuse these spaces, the brain gets confused too. If you keep answering emails on your bed, the brain starts associating the bed with alertness and stress, not with calmness and sleep. That's why sleep experts say, train your brain to recognize the bed only as a place of rest, not as a place of work. Of course, there will be days when urgent work is unavoidable. But if every night becomes urgent work night, then you are no longer living a life, you are living a loop. And the irony is, poor sleep will make you less productive the next day, which will make your work pile up, which will steal your sleep again. It becomes a vicious cycle. The secret is to draw a boundary. Tell yourself, after this time, I will not work. After this time, the office stays outside. It takes discipline, yes. But remember, work will always expand to fill your time if you let it. Sleep will only enter if you create a boundary. So tonight, when you lie down, ask yourself, am I taking my boss, my emails, my deadlines, my office politics into bed with me? If yes, then don't be surprised if peace refuses to lie down next to you. Because your bed is not meant for board meetings. It is meant for sweet dreams. Don't take your office to bed, and you'll find your sleep arriving like a trusted friend, waiting for you with open arms. One of the biggest reasons people toss and turn at night is not because of what happened today, but because of what might happen tomorrow. The body is on the bed, but the mind has already gone ahead into the future. What will I say in that meeting? Will my boss like the presentation? How will I handle that client? What about the exam? What about the bills? And the brain, instead of shutting down, keeps playing a movie of tomorrow's problems in advance. That's why many people wake up tired, even after lying in bed for hours. They were busy working in their imagination the whole night. Have you ever noticed that the mind loves to exaggerate tomorrow's problems? A small task suddenly looks like a mountain. One phone call feels like a court case. And the more we keep thinking, the bigger the monster becomes. It's almost like the mind is a very talented movie director. It takes one small scene from tomorrow and builds a whole suspense thriller out of it. But here's the secret: tomorrow doesn't need to be carried into the night. You can simplify it before you sleep. One of the most powerful ways to do this is to write it down. If there are tasks you need to handle, take a notebook or even a small piece of paper and list them. Don't leave them floating in your head. The brain is not a storage device, it's a processing device. When you try to store everything inside, it keeps sending reminders. Don't forget this, don't forget that. But the moment you put it on paper, your brain relaxes. It knows the information is safe and it doesn't need to keep ringing alarms. Think about it. When you are traveling, you pack your bags and keep them ready. You don't keep running around the house at midnight saying, "Oh, I hope I don't forget my passport. I hope I don't forget my charger." You write a checklist, pack it, and then rest easy. In the same way, when you write down tomorrow's tasks, you are packing tomorrow's luggage today so you don't have to carry it into your sleep. Let me share a story. A businessman once told a monk, "I cannot sleep. My mind keeps racing about tomorrow's deals and meetings." The monk gave him a simple exercise. Before you go to bed, take 5 minutes. Write down everything you have to do tomorrow. Then fold the paper, keep it beside your bed, and tell yourself, "Tomorrow I will handle this. Tonight I will only rest." The man laughed at the simplicity, but when he tried it, he was shocked. For the first time in months, he slept like a child. Why? Because he realized the mind just needed assurance. It needed to know that tomorrow was safe and organized. This is the beauty of simplifying tomorrow. You don't eliminate tomorrow's challenges, but you stop letting them rent space in your head before bedtime. The more organized your thoughts, the more peaceful your sleep. And the irony is, when you sleep peacefully, you handle tomorrow's tasks even better. A rested mind is sharper, more creative, more capable. A restless mind is like a blunt knife. No matter how hard you try, it won't cut through the problem efficiently. So instead of dragging tomorrow into tonight, gift yourself a ritual. 5 minutes before bed, review your day, list what needs to be done, and then close the book. Tell yourself, "I've done my best today. Tomorrow will be handled tomorrow." Then lie down, free from the weight of the future. Remember this, you don't have to solve tomorrow's problems with tonight's sleep. Sleep is not for solving. It is for surrendering. And when you simplify tomorrow, you are telling your heart, "It's okay, rest now. Tomorrow will start fresh." And that is when sleep comes. Not as a burdened escape, but as a peaceful embrace. We all understand the importance of food for the body. If you eat heavy fried food at midnight, you know what happens. You wake up with acidity, discomfort, maybe even regret. Junk food doesn't just affect the stomach, it affects the whole body's energy. Now, just as the body has a diet, the mind also has a diet. And if we feed the mind with junk thoughts, junk news, junk conversations before bed, then we should not be surprised when the mind refuses to rest peacefully. Tell me honestly, how many of you have made the mistake of watching a horror movie at night and then try to sleep? Every little sound becomes a ghost, every shadow looks suspicious, even the innocent ceiling fan becomes a villain. The movie ended hours ago, but the mind is still digesting the images. This is exactly what happens with the kind of thoughts and information we consume before bed. The mind is like a stomach. It has to digest whatever you feed it. If you give it negativity, fear, and tension, it will stay busy digesting it, and your sleep will be disturbed. Sometimes people say, "I don't know why I wake up with so much anxiety." But if you look closely, you'll see their mental diet before bed was full of stressful content. News about wars, arguments on social media, gossip about people, fears about the future. This is like eating stale, spoiled food and then wondering why you feel sick. If you wouldn't eat garbage, why would you feed your mind garbage? There's a simple principle: peaceful input creates peaceful output. If you want your night to be peaceful, you must carefully choose what your mind consumes in the last hour of the day. Read something uplifting. Listen to soft, calming music. Have a gentle conversation with someone you love. Say a prayer or affirmation. This is like serving your mind a warm, nourishing meal before bed. It digests easily and it puts you to sleep with comfort. There's a story of a king who once asked his wise minister, "Why do I feel restless even in my luxurious palace?" while my servant sleeps peacefully on the floor. The minister replied, because your servant's mind diet is simple. He spends his day working honestly, eats his meal, thinks of his family with gratitude, and rests. You, on the other hand, fill your mind with politics, worries, suspicions, and endless calculations. Your stomach is not heavy, but your mind is. That answer shook the king. He realized that no bed, no mattress, no silk sheet can give peace if the mind is overloaded with the wrong diet. Think of your mind like a garden. If you plant roses, it will bloom with fragrance. If you plant thorns, it will grow pain. Every piece of content you consume is a seed. Negative news, gossip, complaints, these are weeds. Gratitude, wisdom, kindness, these are flowers. What you plant before bed determines the fragrance of your dreams. In fact, even science supports this. The subconscious mind remains active while you sleep. Whatever you feed it before sleeping goes deep inside and influences your dreams, your mood, even your health. That's why many people wake up tired, because their subconscious spent the night chewing negativity instead of resting in peace. So, before you close your eyes, ask yourself, what is my mind's last meal today? Did I feed it peace or poison? If the answer is poison, then don't expect peaceful sleep. But if the answer is peace, then your mind will thank you with deep rest. The mind diet matters, my friends. Don't just choose carefully what you put into your stomach. Choose carefully what you put into your thoughts. Because just as the body is built by food, the quality of your sleep is built by the quality of your mind's diet.